Hi there, friends. Good morning. I hope you're having a really wonderful day. Well, I wasn't planning a video today, but after hearing Jenny talk about how she really feels like it's important to focus on the beauty of the garden and what's going right in the garden, I thought I would film a brief tour showing how everything's looking in mid-July and just focus on the positive. So let's start right here on the right side of the main flower walk, and I have so much to show you. I can overlay a little bit of footage of what all the gardens look like right now. There are so many lilies and gladiolas coming in and out of bloom every day. But let's start down low where we see the beautiful carmine gomphrena, and we sewed that together back in, I think it was late March. And I like the different texture here with this creeping juniper, the gomphrena, and I do have some lobelia just tucked in low to the ground. Soon we'll have an explosion of dahlias in here. But let me know if you recognize this gladiola, because we're going to see it a lot during our walk down the main flower walk. This was supposed to be Isabella, and I've grown Isabella twice now. I thought it was supposed to be a raspberry gladiolus, but 2 years ago it was purple, and this year it's purple again. So it makes me curious to know, what does the real Isabella look like? There are lots of bees, butterflies, and birds enjoying the Verbena bonariensis. The tallest verbena that you see are the plants that we planted together, and the ones that are a little bit shorter are the cuttings that we took early on in the season. But the plants and the cuttings are all in bloom now, and the third cuttings that I took, I'm looking over my shoulder, they are actually also in bloom as well, so I'll be sure to show you those. We do have the Dalmatian peach foxglove still in bloom. I've been trying to keep up with the deadheading on those, as well as the purple white bicolor Sweet William. This is the Sweet series, and I got that seed from Johnny's. And some people were asking me about whether this keeps on blooming throughout the summer. For me here in 6B, it does, as long as I keep cutting it or deadheading it, and it is due for some deadheading as we speak. Let's go ahead and travel down and see this moment. This is why I really wanted to film the tour today, or maybe we should just call it a garden walk rather than a tour. But we're starting to get those more vibrant, richer hues over in the main flower walk. So this lily is a red lily. It's kind of a cranberry red, I would say. It's called Montezuma. I think I've had it in the garden for about 3 years. It's about 4.5 feet tall now. It's an oriental lily, and it's so beautiful. On the opposite side, to counterbalance that, I have Corvara, but that lily is not in bloom yet. But I do like how this picture looks. And of course, depending on how the sun is shining, it looks quite different. The sun is harsh now, but I like seeing all the birds and the bees. So we're repeating that bicolor dianthus below. More verbena. So this is our verbena cuttings here. And then we have some beautiful phlox. The limelight hydrangeas are starting to put on their bloom stalks, and let me turn this around so you can see firelight. This is firelight hydrangea. The leaves on firelight are a little bit darker green than on limelight. It blooms much earlier. I think I said this is July 17th in southern Pennsylvania. Back behind that, I do have an incredible hydrangea, some titanic gladiolas, and also some tricolor gladiolas. And let me show you how these areas connect. So we're standing right next to firelight now at the corner of my addition. And if we look down a ways, and I'll show you what's going on with the grass, it's being completely reseeded at this point. Hopefully by the full July garden tour, we'll have some grass there yet again. But that's how these areas connect, and this is how I see the main flower walk from my kitchen window. I kind of see straight ahead, but usually there's grass there. This year, not so much. And here's the view looking back from our flower lady. Miscanthus cabaret is the large grass that you see there. And you can see the other limelight is probably at least 9 feet tall at this point. So this will be an interesting test to see if the high traffic grass will grow in this area where I'm having so many problems. But I do have some other lilies on this side of the main flower walk. This lily is called Salmon Star, a beautiful white lily with peach freckles, and it's about 3.5 feet tall this year. I thought I had removed most of those lilies from the border, but I guess I left that one. I'm repeating that carmine gomphrena below, and I have some creeping campanula in there. That is a purple perennial down below. Here we have our mystery gladiola. Let me know if you recognize it. I really would like to know what it is because I love it. I'll continue to plant it. And basically I did groupings of I think 7 all throughout the main flower walk and even extended that down to the stone rug. This is the 4th limelight hydrangea in the main flower walk. It was the last limelight that I put in, and this one is probably only about 6 feet tall now. That one's probably 4 years old, whereas the other ones are somewhere between 6 and 8 years old. Diva Dahlia, I accidentally left the tuber in the ground last year. It came back. Creme de Cassis came back. I don't see many others. I did leave Cornell in the driveway garden and I did lose all of them, but the rest of the dahlias I dug up. So here's some more of our mystery gladiolus. The Amsonia is that beautiful lime-colored feathery texture that's creeping into the bench now. We have my grandma's lamb's ear below. And it looks to me like, if you've been following me for a while, I think I had jewels of opar planted in this area 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And it looks like it's popping up through the cracks. That's that lime-colored foliage that you see. Goodness, I think we used that on the dried flower Christmas tree maybe, I think 3 years ago. So I'm gonna let it go. I like it. And I didn't grow any this year, so it'll be nice to have a little sprinkling there. Common agastache in the background, and an oak leaf hydrangea back there is now turning from white to green. We still do have some Costa gladiolas in this area, just starting to come on now, and that's a really soft purple gladiola. Let's skip ahead a bit and head into the raised bed gardens where I have my Saving Grace Dahlia seedlings. About 1/4 of them have bloomed now, and it's so exciting to see each one as they bloom. They almost all look very similar to Saving Grace, which is interesting. And then wait till you see this gladiola, my new favorite gladiola. I need to have thousands. I can't believe how gorgeous this is. So here's the original Saving Grace Dahlia, and it looks like we have a bee on one and a Japanese beetle on another. So for frame of reference, that is the mother plant. And then let's take a look at what all of her seed is producing. Oh, I need to get out here with some soapy water. I have to start doing that. So this one is really beautiful. They are all singles so far. They're all fairly tall, which is nice. I really do like tall dahlias. This one is very similar to Saving Grace, but I think even better because it has a beautiful magenta line around the perimeter of the petal, and then this beautiful streak of magenta here. So I really like that one. Here's the next one. Once again, similar but a little bit different. It's kind of fun. They all look like her children, but different in their own way. So we've got the pink, the magenta, but this one looks like there's been some scissors taken to the petals. So that's a really, really beautiful one. Next up, and I planted these really close together thinking that I might rip some out, but I'm just gonna keep them all unless I see any disease creep in. So we have a beautiful red one here. It kind of bleeds to a peach color at the edge. I can't tell if that's the same plant as this or if this is a totally different plant. This bug right there, I'm not sure if you just saw that, that was tarnished plant bug. That's a pretty bad bug. That will deform a flower head. So there's another one. This one is just starting to open, and it almost looks like a beautiful summer sunset. What might be a good name for that one? Summer sunset. Now in the back we have another original saving grace. So I saved one clump and I divided it into 3. So we have 2 in the corner, 1 in the main flower walk. Let's head around to the other side. It looks like we have about 8 more to bloom over here, and behind us we probably have about 20 more to bloom. Now here is that amazing gladiola that I have to show you. This is called Ted's Favorite, and I'm always skeptical of gladiola pictures because they never seem correct, but this is similar to the picture, but it's even better. I mean, look at the coloring on that. It is a really, really vibrant hot pink that bleeds into this beautiful soft peach. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look at the one on the other side. I really think this is my favorite gladiola that I've ever grown. It's so unexpected, and it's just so nice that it's better than the picture, you know? When you're growing anything from corm, tuber, bulb, or seed, you can never be 100% sure based on the picture, but I just love how Ted's Favorite turned out. So definitely I'll be ordering a lot more of those next year. So the raised beds are in serious transition right now. I have another wave of straw flower up there. You might remember we had poppies, replaced those with the king raspberry straw flower. And then I have vegetables. I decided to liquidate the rest of my zinnia seed. So those zinnias replace the cool flowers. I also need to go ahead and rip out all the remaining sweet peas. It's just too hot. Here is the sunflower succession that we planted together. Looking good. Over in the hydrangea room, we have some species lilies in bloom. This is Black Beauty. It is significantly taller than it was last year. It's actually leaning on the crepe myrtle right now, but it's really beautiful. It has downward facing blooms. So I thought species lilies could handle part shade, but it doesn't appear like they can. Last year they were fine over here, but they were only about 3.5, maybe 4 feet last year. Now that they're probably 6.5 feet tall, they are really struggling. You can see them falling over, and I really do not like to have lilies like that in the garden. I don't like to have any lilies back here low to the ground because of my pets. So I think I'm gonna have to remove those species of lilies and put them somewhere else, probably over in the driveway garden. So this is probably a different way than you've seen the hydrangea room before because it's being lit from right above. And I think it looks pretty different because of that. All of our pink hydrangeas are starting to age and turn either a very light and dusty pink, or even Invincible Spirit you can see has already turned green. So that is the one thing about Invincible Spirit too, it turns green quite quickly really, especially when you compare it to Mini Mauvet, which is right next to it, which is closer to us on the camera, and Ruby. Ruby stays pink the longest in my experience. Let me know what your experience is. But now we are going to have the panicle hydrangeas take over. This large one right next to us is Strawberry Sunday, and the one there in front of the hummingbird sign I think is Tiny Quickfire. So we've got a panicle hydrangea with a nice open lacy bloom, and we have some lilies over here that I really want to show you, some rose lilies. We planted these lilies together. This rose lily is called Ramona. This is my first year growing Ramona, and I love it. I want to grow a lot more. And since now we've taken a look at one rose lily, let's go over to the driveway garden and take a look at a lot of rose lilies. So hopefully it won't be too loud over here in the driveway garden. It is midday, but over here I have a mix of stargazer lilies, Casablanca lilies, rose lily Editha. I have a new rose lily over here that hasn't bloomed yet, but I thought that this comparison was interesting. So these white Casablanca lilies that you see in the camera, they have been with me for I think about 5 years, and they're blooming now. Do you see these lilies that aren't in bloom yet? So I meant to flank the walkway with Casablanca. They are not blooming yet. So a newly planted lily bulb planted in the spring will bloom a little bit less the first year than it will in subsequent years. So this year the picture looks a little bit strange because we have Casablanca on the left and Casablanca is not on the right as of yet. But in the years to come, imagine that we do have that Casablanca there and it looks the way that I intended it to look, nice and balanced. So we have my favorite rose lily up here, although after I see how beautiful Ramona is, I might need to change my mind. So this is Editha. It is a double oriental lily. Double oriental lilies and double Asiatic lilies do not have pollen, so they make really great cut flowers. Both the double Asiatic and the double oriental face upward, so once again really easy in terms of putting these into a spiraling bouquet. It can be challenging, I think, to put anything outward facing is somewhat challenging, but downward facing lilies are really challenging. I do have some tricks though that I can show you about working with outward facing lilies. So there we have Editha. Let me know what you think. Do you like Editha better or do you like Ramona better? I gotta take you over to my parents who have Tatiana growing in pots and it looks amazing, so amazing. So here's my stand of older Casablanca lilies. Coming down from Casablanca we have Stargazer. One of my favorite books is Flower Confidential, and it talks a lot about the cultivation and discovery, the breeding really, I guess I should say, behind stargazer lilies. I would really recommend that book, Flower Confidential, if you are growing cut flowers and you're really passionate about local cut flowers. That will make you even more passionate about growing and purchasing only local flowers. So I'll have to look up my notes what that gladiola is. I'm thinking Katharina. This gladiola is a mystery, so let me know if you recognize it. It's a hot pink with white streaks running into the center. I hope you don't mind the traffic too much, but you know, as a lot of my channel is about selling cut flowers, this will give you a good and accurate sense of how much traffic is passing by my stand every day, and my stand is right there in the corner. So we have a lot more apricot straw flowers in here. And friends, when I do the full July garden tour, I'll make sure I do it on a Sunday morning so it's nice and quiet for us. But there's a look at how our brief moment of formality looks with the bird bath, the beautiful butterfly bushes, and Invincible Spirit 2 behind the bird bath. Over here, the crocosmia is starting to go out of bloom, but I prefer it out of bloom because it leaves behind these wonderful textural seed pods that you can use fresh or dried. So even if you're not into red, I think it's worth tucking crocosmia in somewhere so you can have that great textural element. So as you can see, the garden over here is starting to look pretty sparse. I've been cutting really heavily from it, selling lilies pretty much non-stop, and will continue to do so until this garden is basically completely cut, and all we're left with is basically our shrubs to carry us through. Well friends, thanks so much for spending some time with me out here in the garden on a sunny, hot Pennsylvania day. We'll see how this grass is looking for the late July garden tour. Fingers crossed there's at least something that pops out of the ground. But for now, I want to wish you a wonderful day and of course, happy gardening. Bye.